sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate.
Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. I am Claudrine Jackson, your host, and I want to remind you that we all have a spoonful of comfort. A spoonful is the minimum of anything that you can give anybody. A spoonful of medicine goes a long way. So maybe a spoonful of comfort will go a long way. Your comfort for today is a scripture coming from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans for hope for the future. And another scripture says, for we are saved by hope, but hope seen is not hope. For what a man or woman seeth, they don't have to hope for. But if you hope for that which you see not, you do with patience wait for it. And that's Romans 8:24 and 25. And sometimes it's so hard to have hope and believe that things are going to turn out better. But I've always had hope, and I hope you have hope, and I hope you are offering comfort to others. I had a question that I asked last show, which is in the form of a poem that I wrote called Positive Energy. And it goes, how would it be if we could see positive energy? The energy that is the key to set us free and keep us young and well and strong and help us bloom our whole life long. Would it be bright like a light? Would it help us make it through the night? Would it sparkle and shine like silver and gold? Would it reveal a lie we've been told? Would it make sunshine in our soul and keep us warm and help us grow? Would it chase away our fears and dry our tears? I know you may be tired of me speaking of this energy, but wouldn't it be nice to see? That's the other thing I want to remind you about, having positive energy. You can tell the positive energy people because when they leave, people don't say, oh, Lord, I'm glad they're gone. So try to be one of the positive energy people that when people see you, they're glad to see you. Also, last show, I thanked J.P. Morgan Chase for making a donation. Today, I want to thank Norma Fambro. Norma Fambro had an event and made a sizable donation to the Purvis Jackson Autism Foundation. Norma is married to Henry Fambro, who is the last remaining original member of the Spinners. And she had an event and gave the Purvis Foundation a sizable donation. So thank you so much, Norma. I greatly appreciate it. The Purvis Foundation appreciates it. We will do a lot of good with it. What the Purvis Foundation does is we help children with handicaps. Doesn't have to be autism. My son has autism, but we help all handicaps. Lower income children have so many things going against them that we do what little bit we can to help. And even with our help with the foundation, we say it's just a spoonful compared to what they really need. So the Spinners, if you're not familiar with the Spinners, look them up on Google or YouTube. I was married to Purvis Jackson, who was the bass singer of the Spinners. When I met and married Purvis in the 60s, they didn't have any hit records. They didn't have any money. They were not celebrities yet, but I had faith. I'm going to talk about faith a little later. I didn't have faith that he was going to become have hit records. I had faith that one day he was going to say, I got to quit this singing because it's not making me any money and go get a factory job. But I never said to him, don't pursue your dream. And I'm thankful that I didn't ever say don't pursue your dream, because once they did start making hit records, he remembered that I had never done anything but support him. The Spinners were the second black group to get a star on the Walk of Fame, which they got in 1976. The Mills Brothers were the first group. Now, those of you who are younger, you don't know who the Mills Brothers are, but they were the first black group to get a star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, and the Spinners were the second black group. The Spinners have the key to many cities. They've been inducted into the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. They have Pioneer Awards from the Rhythm and Blues Foundation. They did a lot of good, and they accomplished a lot. And they were humanitarians. They paid for college for people. And Purvis used to say, if I'm a humanitarian, why aren't I doing something for people with handicaps? Because my son has a handicap, so I know how it feels. Most handicapped children, the marriages do not succeed. So many times it's a single parent trying to take care of a handicapped child. That was me part of the time, because you hear all the stories about entertainers. Well, we had our ups and downs, and part of the times we were separated, and I was trying to take care of Purvis Jr. by myself. But Purvis Sr. was always there, always supporting me, always giving me help with Purvis Jr. So I used to say, well, he's not all bad, but I'm not going back with him. But we did get back together. I was reading a book Mary Ann Williamson wrote called Return to Love. And she said that we must forgive, that forgiveness is more important for the forgiver than the person who's forgiven. Well, I read that book, and I kept thinking my husband was always asking me to forgive him. Can I forgive him? And it took a while, but he worked hard to get me to forgive him. And once I forgave him, it was like a load lifted. I did not even know that I was carrying this load. So if you have someone that you must forgive, why don't you bless them by forgiving them? I also want to mention to you about the church that I attend. I'm a deacon at New Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church. It's located in Ferndale, Michigan. It's a block north of 8 Mile and a block west of Wyoming. It's on Ithaca and Pasadena. But I would love for some of you to come out and say hi to me at New Mount Vernon Church sometimes. We have a dynamic new young minister, and he's really bringing a new breath of fresh air to us parishioners. We need a lot of younger people because the church is 92 years old, and we have been there for many years. I haven't, but I've been there for over 40 years, off and on, because of the times that I was having trouble with my son. I did not attend on a regular basis. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you about my wonderful trip that I just took to Nassau for their carnival parade. And then I want to talk to you about faith and a couple of other subjects. So please stay with me, and please remember, you have a spoonful of comfort. Welcome back. I wanted to talk to you about my trip that I took recently. I've been going to Nassau for their big carnival parade for years, and their big parade is called the Junkanoo. And I wanted to show you something that I brought back from the Junkanoo. They have floats and costumes. It's just really amazing. If you can ever plan a trip, that's something worth planning a trip to. The Junkanoo is every New Year's right after midnight, so you have to be up all night. And they have beautiful costumes, beautiful floats, and it's like their Mardi Gras. So I want to show you this. They wear things like this on their head. This is a headpiece. When I was there, I visited the Junkanoo headquarters, and I wore one of the headpieces, and it was so heavy. This actually is not a headpiece, but they wear things like this on their head. I wanted you to see this. I don't know if you can see the detail that they put into this, but it's truly amazing. And their handiwork is so beautiful that I really wanted you to see that. This is just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. They have humongous floats with all these kind of decorations on it. The people wear costumes with looking like this. And the parade lasts all night. And I've gone for many years, but this is the first time that I was there from beginning to end. It wasn't my plan to be there from beginning to end, but I was. And I even videotaped some of it, which I hope to be able to show you. But the Junkanoo got started, they said, with slaves when they had a day off. Now, the day after Christmas was called Boxing Day, and the people that they worked for would box up the leftover food and give it to them. So that was their day off. They had their boxes of food, so they started celebrating. That's one of the stories about how the Junkanoo started. Nobody really knows how it started, but it's been going on for so many years. And I went to one of the Junkanoo headquarters, and I could not believe the headquarters was like in a little small garage. I could not believe that they were making these humongous costumes and all this beauty and all this fancy, elaborate. You know, I like fancy stuff, and everything is fancy and elaborate, and they play the goatskin drums, and they have music. So if you can plan a trip that I'm sure you will enjoy, the Junkanoo is something that I'm sure you will enjoy. Even if you have to start saving money for it. I'm not doing a commercial for the Junkanoo, but I know it sounds like it. I went to the Junkanoo in '73, and I didn't go back for 30 years. But I always had faith that I was going to go back one day. So I want to talk to you a little bit about faith. We know faith is when you believe in something before it happens. If everything is already going right, you don't need faith. So faith is the evidence of things not seen, but you believe they're going to come about. So I found another definition of faith lately, and that definition is that faith is our shield, and it protects us from all the things that the enemy sends our way. And I had never thought of faith that way. So I hope you're still keeping your faith and remembering that all that you've been through, you made it through. Sometimes we think we won't make it through, and then we get through it, and then the next thing happens, and we get through that. So faith helps us to remember that things will get better. So I have a poem that I wrote that is my example of faith. And I wrote this poem years ago when I was very depressed and I did not know that things were going to get better. It's called Will There Be a Happy Ending? Will there be a happy ending when all of this is through? Or will I wish I had given up and found something else to do? Will there be a happy ending? Will I laugh instead of cry? Will I turn lemons into lemonade? Can I make it if I try? There springs the hope eternal that things will turn out right. Now, don't confuse me with the facts, because then I'll lose the fight. One day, I'll say it's worth it all, the troubles I have seen. Or, do I have the wrong perspective? Am I allowed to dream? Will I find the pot of gold? Does the rainbow follow rain? Or will I open up my eyes to see that optimism was in vain? I know that happy ever after only comes in fairy tales, but I can't shake the feeling that all will turn out well. So you may think that I'm a fool, but I must stop pretending. I can't accept the doom and gloom. I'll have my happy ending. I said I wrote that poem many years ago when I was very depressed, had no idea that I would ever write a book or do a TV show, but I can't even say that I always had faith. There were many times when I thought God had deserted me, when I said, Lord, why is all this happening to me? And had no idea what the future held for me. And when I was crying and begging the Lord, please help, and what am I going to do when my son gets older? Now I know that God was saying, you take care of today. I got the future. If you just have faith, you take care of me. I've got the future. You take care of today, because I've got the future. Another thing that I've talked to you about is one of my favorite writers, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. And The Power of Positive Thinking had a great impact on my life, because that's back also when I was going through depressions. And I thought, well, how can you think positive when everything is going wrong around you? But if you just question, how can you think positive, answers start coming. And Dr. Peale started the Guidepost Foundation, and they have many publications. And I wanted to show you one of the publications that I really like. This is called Mornings with Jesus. Mornings with Jesus is one of the publications that I read. I won't say every day or every morning, but I do read on a regular basis. It has scriptures, it has things about the scriptures, and Dr. Peale started many publications, and I was honored to be a part of one of his publications. They have Mornings with Jesus, Guidepost Magazine, Daily Word. I started reading Daily Word when I was a teenager. But he has a little booklet called Plus Magazine, and I sent in a story to be printed in Plus Magazine. And not only did they print the story, they paid me for it. So I have a big spot in my heart for Dr. Peale and Plus Magazine, all the Guidepost publications, Daily Word. He really started something that lasts way beyond him. Another person I would like to talk about is another one of my favorite authors is Og Mandino. Og stands for Augustine, but they shortened it to Og, A-U-G, and then he just said O-G, Og Mandino. He spelled it phonetically. Og Mandino wrote The Greatest Miracle in the World, The Greatest Salesman in the World, and a number of other books, but those are the two that I read that had a great impact on me. Og Mandino said that you have to greet the world with love in your heart. Now, if things are going wrong in my life, and if I'm feeling bad, I don't have to put that on you. I can still greet you with love. And one of my favorite things about Og Mandino is that he tells you you are capable of so much more than you think that you are. And he breaks it down to what your heart does. It beats 36 million beats per year. Your lungs take in all this oxygen. Your blood changes every so often. He really makes you feel like your body is the miracle that it really is. So Og Mandino, Norman Vincent Peale, two of my favorite authors. And I hope that you get to experience some of what they've written. So it's time for me to take another break, and then we're going to come back and wrap up. when you greet the world with love in your heart, remember you bring your weather with you. When I was teaching, they taught us that the weather you bring into the classroom, if you bring sunshine into the classroom, there will be sunshine. So remember, you take your weather with you. We're going to take a short break, and I'll be back in a minute. Thank you for staying with me. I hope you've stayed with me through this time of sharing comfort, and I hope that something that I said gives you comfort, and I hope that you are also sharing comfort. If I didn't have a child with a handicap who cannot talk, I probably would not have the nerve to do a TV show. And I'm so thankful to WHPR for giving me the opportunity to express myself, and for giving the whole community. We have a voice because of WHPR. I'm so thankful to be here and to be able to share my thoughts. I wanted to share another scripture with you that says, the sufferings of the present time. Some of us feel like we're suffering. I've been through suffering. The sufferings of the present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that's going to be revealed in us. So when you're suffering, remember, you're going through something, but God is there with you. I remember when my son was very difficult to deal with, and I was crying all the time and upset all the time, and I wasn't even leaving the house. And I was sitting listening to a church service one Sunday morning. Councilman Peoples, Reverend Peoples, was one of our city councilmen. And he said, you may feel like you're in the wilderness. And that's how I felt. So my ears perked up. He said, you may feel like you're in the wilderness, but remember, Jesus is in the wilderness with you. And that made a great impact on me and let me realize that nobody ever gets through life without going through trials and tribulations. But our trials and tribulations should bring us closer to God, which is what happened to me. And I remember when I wanted my son to be able to talk, I was struggling, spending money at Detroit Hearing and Speech and doing all that I could to get him to be able to start talking, and he never did talk. I thought that if he did not talk, his life would be over and my life would be over. But he still doesn't talk, but he's not deprived. We take him to the market and he does his own shopping. He cooks fries and sausage and the things that he likes. So my answer came to be to make him have a pleasant life. I could not cure him. I could not make him into the person I wanted him to be. I opened the Bible one day and it said, that who the Lord hath made crooked, who can make straight? And I said, well, Lord, I've been trying to straighten something that you made crooked. So I hope you will tune in again next week for A Spoonful of Comfort. I hope you remember my book, Inspired by Autism. You can purchase it here at WHPR. It's also on Amazon. If you want to make a donation to the Purvis Jackson Jr. Autism Foundation, our address is Post Office Box 04422, Detroit 48204. And we are helping children with handicaps. There are a lot of needy people in the world. I feel bad to even ask folks to help needy people, but everyone knows that the children with handicaps are some of the neediest people in the world. Until next week, may the power of God protect you. May the love of God enfold you. Remember to give a little comfort to someone, and I'll hope to see you again. Well, I hope you see me again next Tuesday at 1:30 right here on WHPR.